Today we have Rachel Woodward, who is the Senior Director of Silversea Cruise Line in Expedition Sales. And Rachel is going to talk to us today about the Galapagos Islands, where she has been a couple times, and the experience with Silversea Cruise Lines. Rachel, thank you for joining us, and I'm going to let you take over the screen, and we look forward to your presentation.
Well, thank you so much, Lori, for hosting this event today. I'm very excited to talk about the Galapagos Islands. As you mentioned, I have visited the Galapagos Islands twice in the past 8 months. It's one of my favorite destinations. Today, I really look forward to just sharing some details of what makes the island so special, and then also sharing some images of the destination, some of my insider tips, and then also discussing our brand new vessel, Silver Origin, and what makes this vessel so unique and special for the islands. With cruising, we had our restart with cruising last June, and since then we've operated about 100 voyages, and we've welcomed about over 12,000 passengers across Silversea's entire fleet. So not just Expedition, but our classic departures as well. Our restart for the Galapagos was last June. And I love this photo of our Expedition team, because you can just see on the photo on the right how excited they are. Many of them, their parents and their grandparents were guides in the Galapagos Islands. On my trip this past November, 3 of the guides went to grade school together. So it's like a family on board. It's very different than the other destinations because the islands are protected by the Galapagos National Park, where all the guides have to be Ecuadorian. So it really does make the destination unique, special. We have a team of 10 expedition guides, and the vessel holds 100 passengers. So what this means, smaller groups on Silversea, very, very important. So when you're going ashore, you're in a group size of about 8 to 10 guests. So very personalized experience. And with 10 guides, each morning, each afternoon, you're with a different guide, as well as the following day. So one day you could be with a marine biologist. The next day you could be with a photographer. The next day you could be with a historian, a geologist. So it's really great that you have a variety of team members. The Galapagos is located about 680 miles from the South American mainland of Ecuador. With Silversea, we do include 2 nights pre-hotel stay in Quito. So if you're flying from the US, we do include complimentary international economy air or an air credit, 2-night pre-hotel stay at the JW Marriott in Quito. And then that Saturday, you will be on a group flight to board the ship in San Cristobal. So it's a 7-day departure every Saturday, round trip San Cristobal. Post-cruise, we include a day room in Guayaquil, and then majority of guests fly out on a red-eye flight that Saturday night. So it's about a 9-day package. It's quite easy though. I love this because we include everything. So from the moment that you step foot in Ecuador, board the ship, everything is included. Gratuities, Wi-Fi, all shore excursions are included. Butler service, which I like to say is like having a private concierge on board. The only additional charge would be the spa and salon, but everything is included with this vessel. I'll talk a bit about the ship itself, then I'll get into the destination of the Galapagos. Silver Origin, it was launched last June, 100 passengers, 87 crew. And I love this photo here. It looks like a mega yacht, floor to ceiling windows. Every suite offers a veranda. So there's no inside rooms, there's no picture windows, beautiful, beautiful accommodations, a lot of natural light throughout the vessel. We include hiking, walking, zodiac cruising, snorkeling, kayaking. So all excursions are included. We cater to all different activity levels. And this is probably, Lori, one of the top questions I get with expedition cruising. How active is it? I'm worried about that. You know, maybe it's a multi-gen family traveling together and someone might have, you know, a bad knee and can't go on a 2-mile walk. We're able to cater to everyone. As long as you can climb a flight of stairs, go on a mile walk, you can go on an expedition voyage. One morning we might have a shorter 30-minute beachcombing walk. At the same time, we might have an hour-and-a-half longer hike to a bird colony. So choice and flexibility is always an option with Silversea. The 2 itineraries that we offer for the Galapagos, so they rotate every 7 days. Western, North Central. And we name them because they're both round trip San Cristobal, because there's subtle differences between the two. But one thing to note, we improved our North Central itineraries last year. We added in Isabella and Fernandina Island. So both itineraries visit those islands. If you ever Google some details of the top islands to visit, those usually come up because you'll be able to see sea turtles and penguins. North Central is known as a birder's itinerary. So if you're an avid birder, if you want to see up to 35 bird species, I recommend the North Central itinerary. Both itineraries, though, you will see blue-footed boobies. We take you to the highlands to see giant tortoises, and you'll have the opportunity to snorkel with penguins and sea turtles. So if that's on your bucket list, we offer that on both itineraries. But if you're an avid birder, I would maybe look at the North Central itinerary. I always say, though, pick an itinerary that works best for your travel schedule. I know another question, Lori, that you've received in the past is the time of the year. What's the best time to visit the Galapagos? That is very difficult because this is our only year-round destination. So if clients are there in January, April, or the fall, the wildlife is amazing. The weather's a little different. So January through end of March is the Galapagos's rainy season. So with that, the water temperature is a little warmer. Great for snorkeling, very active with sea life, but it tends to be a little hotter. So that's just something to notice, January through March. And it could rain once you go into the highlands to see the giant tortoises. I went in June. The weather was great. The water was a little warmer in June than it is in the fall when I went back in November because of the Humboldt current. So the fall time, the water temperature tends to be a little cooler, but I just say pick a voyage that works best for your travel schedule because the time of the year, it's a year-round product. Great. I'm going to play a short video given by one of our expedition guides that talks about the Galapagos and what makes it so unique and special.
Galapagos is unique because this is one of the few places on Earth where you're actually accepted as part of their environment. These species are not running away or flying away. In certain cases, they're coming up to you. And that makes this place truly unique. Something that surprises many people is the diversity of Galapagos. Not only the terrain, which is distinct from one island to the next, but also the diversity of life. We have a unique diversity. In areas where you have reptiles such as sea turtles swimming next to penguins, there's nowhere else on Earth that you have that combination. Being a naturalist on the Silver Galapagos is not only fascinating for me because of this environment that we're traveling through, but also meeting our guests that are coming in here and seeing Galapagos through their eyes and the excitement of being able to interact with the species here. It's very personal. There's no other place like Galapagos on Earth.
I love that video. And I think hearing from one of our guides of what makes the island so unique, it's unbelievable. It's in a way, Lori, like I'll share some photos today of my trip, but to imagine yourself there and how close you're to the wildlife, they have no fear of humans. So you're on a walking path one afternoon and you could walk past 7 to 10 different bird species within 2 to 5 feet of you. It's unbelievable. And even snorkeling, you'll have penguins swimming right past you, sea lions as well. So that's really what makes this destination unique, is how close you get to the wildlife and how the wildlife has no fear of humans. What I'm going to do now is just talk a bit about the ship itself. This is Silversea's first ever expedition ship, purpose-built for the Galapagos Islands. What's really unique about this ship too, it has dynamic stabilizers, so she never drops anchor. She's able to protect the seafloor, and that's very important for the Galapagos. It has this gorgeous marina aft deck, which is great thing about this. It's quite easy to get in and out of the Zodiac to then get on the marina deck. And then we have an area on the marina deck to store all the snorkeling gear. So we do provide the wetsuits and all that. You can just see here, you walk down about 2 steps. We use the sailor's grip, and then it's quite easy to get in and out of the Zodiacs. The expedition team, though, they'll always review the evening prior a briefing if it's going to be a wet landing, a dry landing, so you know exactly the type of shoes that you should wear. We have this gorgeous area as you walk through the vessel base camp. which is our reception area. A lot of Galapagos artifacts. Silversea has a partnership with the Royal Geographical Society based in London. So beautiful artifacts throughout the vessel. And then we have a 70-foot interactive digital wall. So all of the landings that we visit are built in here, as well as the wildlife. So the expedition leader, before you go ashore, will review what you're going to see that day. It is quite unique. The only vessel in the Galapagos that has this. I was mentioning natural light. You can see this throughout the vessel. We have 2 dining venues, a main restaurant, and then we have an outside grill. Our lecture area is set up a little different. It's not a theater style seating, a lot of comfortable couches and chairs. There's a huge screen at the front, and then there's almost like little pod areas where they have smaller screens. Of course, most important thing is enjoying a cocktail when you're listening to the lecture. So we have a nice bar area in that area, a lot of public space. The ship holds 100 passengers, but in these public areas and outside could have probably accommodate about 300 passengers. So that's something to consider as well. I never felt like the ship was full at all. We have this observation lounge area, which is right above the bridge area. Gorgeous area to sit, read, relax. Our outside grill, this is where we'll have casual lunch, and then dinner, we have this hot rock dining concept. Ecuadorian cuisine is amazing, especially if you love seafood. But if any of you are vegetarians, they have plenty of choices. I'm a vegetarian. I was blown away by the cuisine that they have on board. So it is really, really great cuisine. South American wines, they'll do tapa tastings, cooking classes on board, very interactive. For our suites, this is one of our entry veranda suites. They start at about 325 square feet. We have that horizon balcony concept, so you have a little bit more space in your suite. And then our larger suites, which I'll click through here, one of the bathrooms, Royal Suite, is about 900 square feet. We go up to 1,700 square feet. So we have the largest suites in the Galapagos, great for families. Quite a few connecting rooms for our entry suites, and then these larger suites. We get a lot of multi-gen travelers together. Children just have to be 5 years or older, but that's great around spring break, summer departures, and the holidays. Outdoor deck space. We do include a backpack and a water bottle. And the great thing is in the suite, there is a water refill station. So you can refill the water bottle throughout the voyage. Kayaking is complimentary, so this is one of the excursions that you can participate in every day. We have 8 double kayaks, so there's a sign-up sheet on board. What's different about the Galapagos, there's no sea days. If you compare this to a destination like Antarctica, it is very fast-paced. So you think about maybe 2 activities a day. There were some days I was participating in about 4 activities, going ashore and going on a short beachcombing walk, coming back at 10 in the morning, changing, going kayaking, back on board for lunch, lecture, afternoon, maybe a snorkeling session at the beach for an hour, and then another hike before sunset. So it is a busy schedule, but choice and flexibility. If you want to stay on board, you can always relax. That marina deck area, we do have an area to store the wetsuits. So those are available for you to use throughout the voyage. They're short wetsuits. I always recommend to pack a dry fit shirt underneath, just to protect yourself from the sun as you're so close to the equator. That is important. We do provide the snorkel goggles for guests to use, and they're all brand new. So guests, because of COVID, that is something that they can use throughout the voyage. Lori, do you have any questions about the vessel itself? Next, I was going to just talk about the destination and share some photos.
No, it looks wonderful. Could you explain the dining concept, or meal times, things like that?
Great. Yes. So room service is available from about 6 in the morning till 11 at night. So breakfast, lunch, or dinner. We do provide in our main restaurant breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Open seating. There's a lot of tables for 2, 4, 6, and 8. The dining venue is never completely full in our main restaurant because we do have that outside grill. So the outside grill is more casual, somewhat of like a buffet concept, but we do have a menu to order off from, and that is available for lunch and dinner. So main restaurant, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, outside grill, and then room service. And that's something to note, Lori, 100 passenger ship, there's only 3 of them. Lindblad, Celebrity, and Silversea. So with that, you have a little bit more choices with dining versus just having one dining venue on a smaller vessel. You have your room service, main restaurant, and outside grill.
That is a really good perk because sometimes you might be in a hurry to get ready in the morning and you don't want to take time for the restaurant.
And that's me. I'm not a big breakfast person. So the chef was so sweet. I love acai bowls. So she made me an acai bowl with fresh fruit, guava, kiwi, bananas every morning. And I have my latte out on the balcony before I went ashore. As you're so close to the equator, the excursions start a little earlier than other expedition destinations. So some guests will say, well, I thought this is a vacation. They understand why they start earlier in the morning. The hottest time is midday. So we might have the excursion start about 7:30 or 8 in the morning. So you're right, ordering room service around that time is a great idea. Sharing some photos here. I just want to compare a bit about the difference between a dry landing and a wet landing. The expedition team will always review this the night prior. I always recommend, though, pack a sturdy pair of walking shoes or hiking shoes. You can see just with the terrain here, with it being a volcanic island, it's really important to have good traction. So this is a dry landing. You also might come along a concrete jetty. A lot of wet landings though on the Galapagos, where you'll want to have with you a pair of Tevas or Keens. You swing your legs around and you're in about calf deep of water. So you can wear those throughout your walk. And then walking ashore, you might come across some sea turtles, sea lions that are nesting, that are mating. You'll also see plenty of birds. We'll offer, this is on the Western itinerary. You go up on a boardwalk about 650 steps to the top of Santiago Island. You can see on the right-hand side, Kicker Rock, which is one of the most famous photograph places in the Galapagos. So beautiful views of the islands. Zodiac cruising. This is a great way to see the wildlife. You don't even have to go ashore. So we'll offer Zodiac cruising every day in the Galapagos. I love this. This was in the morning where you can just see the mist. We'll come along the edges of the islands here where you can see birds that are just nesting on the cliffs. This was from my trip here, sitting with a couple guests and one of our marine biologists in the photo here, but a great way, even at sunset, to just see the wildlife. And we'll also offer Zodiac cruising through the mangroves. So if you see right in front of this Zodiac here, Galapagos penguin. It's unbelievable what you see. Even on for my trip in November, we saw manta rays, white tip reef sharks, baby reef sharks in the mangroves, and plenty of colorful fish and birds as well. And guests walking through the mangroves here, taking photographs. Going back to the Galapagos this past November, it was my third time visiting the Galapagos. I love snorkeling, but what I was so impressed with the geology of the islands. So this photograph here, this is at Isabella Island, and you can just see with the lava, it's unbelievable, just with the shapes of it, the lines in the lava. This was a photograph here with one of my colleagues, but this was my favorite day last November on my trip. We went on about an hour and a half walk with one of our geologists walking around the island. And it's unbelievable because every day is different. I shared some photos here of beach walks. You can see maybe how lush and green it is, snorkeling, and then you go on a hike like this. It's unbelievable. Every day is different. You also see marine iguanas nesting along the shore. Everyone loves blue-footed boobies. So you'll see blue-footed boobies on a short beachcombing walk or a longer walk. You'll see the red-footed booby only on the north central itinerary. So if you're a birder, you want to see the red-footed booby, I recommend that itinerary. This is another photograph here of the red-footed booby. My favorite is the frigate bird. This was taken on my iPhone. You're so close to the wildlife. You can really take some great photos. I'm not a professional photographer at all, but the male inflated his chest and has a calling with the females. So the darker red the chest, the more attractive the females are to the males. Flightless cormorants as well. Their wingspan is about 6 feet wide. Galapagos penguins. This was at Genovesa Island, the north central itinerary. thousands of seabirds flying all around. It's unbelievable just the amount of birds that you'll see. But it's a very casual product. So that's one thing I just want to mention. With Silversea, our expedition product is very different from the classic product. It's like going on an African safari: shorts, t-shirts, make sure to have a hat that protects your neck, plenty of sunscreen. And then in the evening, it's country club casual on board. So that's something just with dress attire, very relaxed product. Walking ashore here, a mother and daughter taking a photograph of a couple sea lions walking ashore. It's, again, how close you get to the wildlife. They have no fear of humans at all. This was for my trip. I had 3 sea lions around me and about 5 birds in this photo here right before I went snorkeling. Snorkeling with sea lions, plenty of colorful fish. This was on my trip last June. And this was at Punta Mangla at Fernandina Island. The current was really strong that day. We had about 20 sea turtles snorkeling for about an hour. So the photographing with that lady, that was my colleague there, and I thought it was great just there with the sea turtles, and then also seeing manta rays, snorkeling with manta rays. So penguins as well. And if you're an avid snorkeler, I recommend going to the Galapagos. We do not offer diving, but Lori, if that's something that, you know, if you have someone interested, you can always discuss with me where you could book something additional, maybe pre or post for your guests, but the snorkeling is phenomenal in the Galapagos. We also take you mid-cruise up to the highlands to see giant tortoises in Santa Cruz Island. Unbelievable. Only 2 places in the world to see giant tortoises. The Galapagos, there's about 50,000 giant tortoises, and Aldabra in the Seychelles, which has about 100,000 giant tortoises. So definitely another highlight from the trip is seeing giant tortoises all around. You notice too, this photograph was taken, I think, around February. So when you go to the highlands around that time of year, it's a little bit more muddy, just with the season. But we will provide, or where we visit the tortoises, they'll provide boots for guests to wear if the terrain is a little muddy. So there's always that choice for guests. My favorite though, after your second excursion, third excursion at the day, right before sunset, have that Zodiac cruise, come back on board for a cocktail, listen to a lecture, and have a really nice dinner. So Lori, I hope that was a great overview of Silversea, our Galapagos product, our new vessel, the destination itself, and hopefully this gets a couple of your guests excited about this destination. Definitely one of my favorite places in the world to visit.
Well, I think it's just so unique with all the wildlife, and like you said, getting so close. And just looking at your pictures, Rachel, it just reminded me of an African safari with, you know, how easy it is to pack. You don't have to think about taking too many clothes. And so, you know, Ecuador is really not that hard to get to from the Midwest. It's a connection through Atlanta, and then, you know, getting a couple days in Quito before you head to the islands is perfect. And I also want to mention that Silversea has some really great ocean cruises as well as other expedition itineraries. So if the Galapagos isn't what you're thinking about, do you want to just kind of list where your other expedition cruises go to?
Yeah, great. So we actually have 2 vessels right now operating in Antarctica. So Galapagos is the only destination year-round. Everything else is seasonal. So 2 vessels right now in Antarctica. This coming summer, we'll have 2 vessels in Northern Europe and the Arctic. So if that's another bucket list destination, visiting Svalbard to see polar bears, walrus, another great birding itinerary. We also visit a lot of remote areas: Indian Ocean, Papua New Guinea, Seychelles, the Kimberleys in Australia, over 590 expedition destinations. And that's something with Silversea Expeditions, more destinations than any other operator. So we have a lot of off the beaten path trips.
That's great. And, you know, smaller ships closer to the, you know, you're in destination, it's just a great way to experience the world if you've never done that before. So But I can't wait to get to the Galapagos. I have not been there yet in all my travels. And so looking forward to that time when I can go as well. So I really appreciate you spending this hour, half hour with us and sharing your presentation. And I will be getting this out to all my clients so they can see it as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Lori, for organizing this. And I do hope some of your guests visit the Galapagos. It is a magical destination. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too, Rachel. Bye-bye.
Bye.